Welcome children. Today we are going to start a new topic that is computer languages. What's the name of the topic? That is computer languages. You know what is a language and why do we require it? Beta, if we have to communicate with someone, then we need a language because without language we can't even share our feelings, we can't even share our ideas with others. So if we have to communicate with someone, then we require a language. Although computer is a machine, but if we have to perform any task on computer, then we also require a language. Because without communicating, how can we tell the computer that what to do? Clear? So the computer language can be defined as the language. Just wait a minute. So, a computer language is a special language understood by the computer. So, we can say that any language which is directly understood by the computer is a computer language. It consists of a set of words, symbols, codes that is used to write a computer program. And what is a computer program? It is nothing, it is just a set of instructions given to a computer to get a particular task done. Clear? So, as we know that we have total 5 generations of computer. In fact, we have discussed about it in previous class as well, right? So, as the generation changes, the type of language, the level of language also gets changed. So, we can broadly classify computer languages into two categories. So, computer language gets classified into two categories. The very first one is, let me change the thickness. Okay. Low level language. And the second one is high level language. So, what's the difference between low level language and high level language? Let's discuss. But actually, if we talk about low level language, then low level languages are written to run a particular computer and cannot be easily used on another computers. But low level languages are machine dependent. This is the basic drawback of low level language, that low level language are machine dependent. Machine dependent means if we have written a program for a particular machine, then it can't be used directly on another machine. As we know that nowadays we are using different softwares on different devices, just like we are using Teams nowadays, we are using WhatsApp, we are using Insta and all. These are the software which are prepared for a machine, and we are using that softwares in our different devices. Clear? So it is possible only because of high level language. Clear? So, if we talk about low level language, then low level languages can also be divided into two categories. The very first one is machine language, and the second one is assembly language. Now, what is a machine language? A machine language is the language which was used in very first generation. As we know that when the computer started in very first generation, then we were not aware about all the applications. As the generation changed, the technology changed, and the things gets modified. But initially, when we started using computer, then we were not that much techno friendly. It was just a new invention for us. So that time we were using machine language. Machine language is the language which is directly understood by the computer. That is the language which is in the form of zeros and ones. That is the language which is in the form of a binary language. Binary language means that works on zeros and ones only. So if we have to write a program in the form of zeros and ones, then it will be really difficult to manage it. Because if we have left any error, then it will be difficult to find that out. अब गलती से कुछ जीरो की जगह हमने वन लिख दिया या वन की जगह जीरो लिख दिया, तो अब उसे आइडेंटिफाई करना जब बहुत लंबा सा कोड है तो वो अपने आप में डिफिकल्ट होगा. And one more problem was that it was the language in which if we have written a program for a machine, then it can't be used on another. एक तो इतना बड़ा सा कोड लिखना, उसके बाद हर मशीन के लिए हमें अलग से कोड लिखना, तो ये बहुत डिफिकल्ट था. But that time we had no choice. Then what happened? In second generation, we just modified our language and we just started using a translator, and the language became assembly language. So in second generation, we just started using assembly language, and assembly language is the language which work on different set of mnemonic codes. Mnemonic codes means, let us suppose that if we have to add something, then we need not to write complete word addition, or we need not to write it in the form of zeros and ones. If we have to perform addition, then we can write A only. In the same manner, if we have to perform subtraction, then we can write S only. Clear? So assembly language, it is also known as second generation language. Okay, so what does first machine language called? Machine language is also called first generation language because it was used in first generation. In the same manner, assembly language was used in second generation. That's why assembly language is also known as second generation language. Now, what's the difference between machine language and assembly language? Beta, machine language and assembly language both are low level language. That means both are machine dependent till now. If we have written the program, that it can't be used on another one. But what was the advantage of assembly language? In assembly language, we started using some set of codes. Now we need not to write the program in the form of binary. But the computer still understands the only thing, that is machine language. अब प्रॉब्लम ये है, कंप्यूटर तो अभी भी मशीन लैंग्वेज समझते हैं. तो अब इस केस में हमने क्या किया, वी स्टार्टेड यूजिंग अ ट्रांसलेटिंग प्रोग्राम. Now what is the translating program and why do we need a translator? But let us suppose that we are going somewhere, we are going to China, and we are not aware of Chinese, so it will be difficult to communicate there, right? And without communication, how can we manage? So for that purpose, what can we do? What would be the best option for that? We may hire a translator. What will be the role of translator? Translator will just translate the statement given by us to the language understood by the Chinese, that is in Chinese. In the same manner, whatever the response we get from that particular person, it will be converted into our language, that is Hindi or English. Okay, so it will be easy to communicate now. Now we can communicate easily because we have a person who understands both the language, our language as well as the language of China. In the same manner, if we have to communicate with the computer, and we have a translating program who can translate our language into the language understood by the computer, then it would be easy. अब क्या हुआ, असेंबलर एक ट्रांसलेटिंग प्रोग्राम आता है, वो कहता है सर ठीक है, कोई इशू नहीं है, आप असेंबली लैंग्वेज में मुझे इनपुट दीजिए, आई विल कन्वर्ट दैट इनपुट इनटू मशीन लैंग्वेज. नाउ इट बिकेम इजी. अब क्या हुआ, अब जो भी हम असेंबली लैंग्वेज में कोड लिखते थे वो कोड जाता था असेंबलर के पास। असेंबलर क्या करता था, उसको कन्वर्ट कर देता था किसमें, मशीन लैंग्वेज में। अब कंप्यूटर को भी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बिकॉज कंप्यूटर गेट्स इट्स इनपुट इन द फॉर्म ऑफ मशीन लैंग्वेज। नाउ बोथ आर हैप्पी, we are happy because we can write our program in assembly language in different, by using different set of codes. Now it's quite easy for us. In the same manner it is easy for computer because it is getting its input in the form of machine language, उसको कोई problem नहीं है, clear? But what was the drawback? बेटा drawback अभी भी वही था, that it was still machine dependent. Now, to overcome from these problems, high level language came in existence. अब क्या हुआ, जब थर्ड जनरेशन हमारे पास आई, तो थर्ड जनरेशन में हमने क्या किया, थर्ड जनरेशन में हमने यूज करना शुरू कर दिया किसको, हाई लेवल लैंग्वेज को। नाउ व्हाट्स द properties of high level language? Beta, high level language has instructions which are almost similar to English language used by us. अब ये कितना easy हो गया, the language we are using now in our day to day life, and if we have to write the program in that language, then it will be really very easy for us. That's why it is very user friendly and resembles the language that we use. And it is much easier to understand and write a program in this language. And the most important part, it is machine independent. That means we can write a program for a machine and we can run that program on almost all the machines. अब हम प्रोग्राम को एक मशीन के लिए लिखेंगे और उसे हम डिफरेंट मशीन पे यूज कर पाएंगे, एज वी आर डूइंग राइट नाउ। वी आर जस्ट writing a program, we are just creating a software for a machine and we are using that software in almost all the machines. Clear? So these are the basic properties of high level language. Clear? Now, what is the role of interpreter and compiler? Beta, initially in assembly language, we were using assembler. And what was the role of the assembler? Assembler was just converting. What was the role of assembler? It was just converting assembly language into machine language. Clear? In the same manner, if we talk about the role of interpreter or compiler, then these are also the translating program, and the role is similar to assembler, because interpreter and compiler just converts the high level language into machine language. बच्चा सिंपल सी बात ये है कि कंप्यूटर ने तो डिसाइड कर रखा है कि मुझे और कुछ समझ नहीं आता, मुझे सब मशीन लैंग्वेज ही समझ आती है। But it's difficult to program a computer always in machine language. So we have just developed a translating program, that is interpreter or a compiler. अब ये क्या करता है, जो हम इनपुट देते हैं हाई लेवल लैंग्वेज में, वो डायरेक्टली उसे कन्वर्ट कर देता है मशीन लैंग्वेज में। नाउ वी बोथ आर हैप्पी because computer is getting its input in machine language. So there is no problem with computer because it is getting its input in its language. And we are happy as well because we are providing input in our language, which can be easily understood by us. Clear? Now, in third generation, we just started using procedural language. Initially, when we came to know about high level language, then initially we just started using procedural language. Now, what is a procedural language? बेटा प्रोसीजर क्या होता है, प्रोसीजर क्या होता है, प्रोसीजर किसी भी काम को करने का तरीका, हम उसमें क्या स्टेप्स फॉलो करते हैं, दिस इज अ प्रोसीजर. सो इफ वी टॉक अबाउट प्रोसीजरल लैंग्वेज, देन प्रोसीजरल लैंग्वेज इज आल्सो known as third generation language. Why do we call it third generation language? Because procedural language was used in third generation, and in this Language, we just write the program in which we have to tell the computer that what to do and how to do a task. अभी हमें ये भी बताना पड़ता है आपको करना क्या है और कैसे करना है. Let us suppose that if we need a cup of coffee, then we have to instruct someone like you have to make coffee, like you have to take a saucepan, you have to add some milk, and you have to put it on the gas burner, and then all the steps whatever we being performed. Clear? So अब हमें ये भी बताना पड़ता है कॉफी पीनी है और कॉफी के साथ क्या क्या करना है ये भी बताने की अगर जरूरत होती है, then such kind of language is said to be procedural language, that in which we have to tell the computer that what to do and how to do. Clear? Okay, so this is all about procedural language. And if we talk about non-procedural language, as the name suggests, that non-procedural language is the language where we do not require any procedure. Clear? So non-procedural language is also known as fourth generation language. Why does we call it fourth generation language? I think it is very much clear to you because it was used in fourth generation, and nowadays we are using non-procedural language. And in this language, the programmer only specified that what the program should be accomplished without explaining how. अब हमें ये बताने की जरूरत नहीं होती कि कॉफी कैसे बनानी है, हमें सिर्फ ऑर्डर प्लेस करना होता है that just give me a cup of coffee, right? तो अब हमारे लिए जैसे जैसे हम फर्स्ट जनरेशन से फोर्थ जनरेशन तक आए, चीजें काफी हद तक मॉडिफाई हो गई. इनिशियली व्हेन there was first generation, we had to write the program in machine language, like in the form of zeros and ones and all. It was really very difficult. But when we came in second generation, we just started using a translating program, that is assembler. And in that language, that is assembly language, we just started using set of codes that were known as mnemonic codes, right? So it became quite easier in second generation. But when we came in third generation, now it became more easier because we were writing the program in the language that we are using nowadays, that is in the form of English. Clear? But in third generation, there was a problem. We had to tell the computer that how to accomplish the task. And in fourth generation, this problem got also vanished. Because in fourth generation, we need not to tell the computer that how to do this. We have to tell the computer that you have to do this task. Clear? We need not to tell the computer that how to do this. Clear? But is there any confusion? If yes, then you may write your query in my WhatsApp window and I'll reply. Otherwise, you may ask in class as well. And I think this is it for today because the video is getting so long. So the next topic will be discussed in the next class. Thank you so very much class. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you so much.